Seems to be working. Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll ever actually post this because I'm not even really sure what I want to say. The thought that's kind of been going through my own head is I'm in a very significant time in my life where we have our first baby due any day now. We're actually due in 2 weeks and 2 days, I'm pretty sure, but I came 2 weeks early. My wife came 2 weeks early. So a baby could come literally anytime. And it's interesting to be in a time period that you know is going to be a memory at some point. I don't know if that makes sense, but typically things happen and you look back even immediately after and think, wow, that was insane. That was my first kiss, or I went to prom, or I don't know, whatever. But it's pretty rare that you kind of preempt a memory. And that's what's kind of interesting about the situation that I'm in. Similar feeling, walking in graduation when I graduated from high school, or going on my mission, or the morning of my wedding. Like, you can feel that it's a big deal. It is something that people talk about. But actually being there and being aware and thinking like, this is that moment. I'm in the good old days, like right now. It's weird a little bit. And part of it, I think, is weird because it feels more normal than you would think. Like you're driving to your wedding, which was the most amazing experience of my life. And it was like, oh, this is just my normal life. Like, oh, that's my wife. There's moments when it sinks in, and usually, at least for me, it was like maybe 2 days later, where you look over and like you're sitting on your phone texting or on Instagram, and then you're like, that's my wife right there. What the heck? She's just hanging out. It's just me and her. We're married, And I don't know. It's just interesting. You don't really notice the significance of a lot of things until they've already passed. I remember, so my sister, a lot of you probably know, was in a really, really bad car accident last November. And I remember got the call. It was on my dad's birthday. Got the call late at night, and it was my dad on the other line. And I mean, he doesn't call me that late usually. And we had just seen him too, so I knew something was wrong. And he told me, you could kind of hear it in his voice and everything. Like, his voice was trembling and everything. And he said, your sister and your mom and your cousin have been in an accident. And it was not like the movies. My emotion right after. I guess I don't even really know what I mean by that. It was, there wasn't that like big camera zooms in on the face and it's like no. It was like a weird blank feeling more than anything. Like the idea now, imagining one of my siblings getting into an accident is scary, and it sounds dramatic and scary, and the imagination of a horrible thing freaks me out. But when it actually happened, I really, really care about my sister, my mom, and my cousin. It wasn't a lack of care. But it surprised me that and the emotion that you actually feel is like nothing in the actual moment. I don't know why that surprised me so much. Maybe people who have been through more stuff, that is normal to them. And then obviously it's sunk in, and it took time, to process it, and it was a long thing. She's fine now. But I wonder why that is. I don't know. I've had that a bunch of times, like when something big is happening or something scary or even something amazing, in the actual moment that it's happening, I feel just like maybe that's what being totally present is. Or maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe I'm overthinking it and being totally not present because I'm looking too hard for an emotion. But it's just like a feeling where you're just there and don't really know like what emotion to call it. And then it turns into emotions, It turns into sadness or fear or excitement or whatever, or anger. But that little moment is interesting. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's not that I don't feel anything. Maybe that I don't want that to be misconstrued, but this is a big time for me and for Maddie. Like any day could be our last day ever as a as a couple, just us two, and I look back on the last place we lived. I'm like, oh man, like what a time that was when we lived in that apartment. Oh, when we had that car and those memories we lived in. We lived in that memory we had when we lived in Chicago, and it felt a certain way and we acted a certain way. And it was just like this little world inside of my memory. And now that I'm in it and I'm aware of it, and I'm going to look back on this stingy student apartment, and look at pictures of this and show my kids pictures of it and be like, oh, those were our last days before we had our life completely changed, and it'll never go back. And yeah, our walls were cinder block, and we we couldn't go out because of the coronavirus, and like the whole world was this and this and that. But actually being in it, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. One thing I do know is that any day now, our life is going to completely change. Which I think is awesome. I wonder if I'll remember what this feels like. Like sometimes a change is so big that it almost feels like it changes your makeup, like changes your core. Like when you get a sibling, like when you invite a baby into your family, or my brother has a nephew, and now I don't remember what it was like before him. Like I can't put myself in that state. And I wonder if I'm going to be able to remember what it was like, when it was just me and Maddie. Because it's going to just be so different. It's just going to be me and her and this little man. Like, there is a man who I will have a relationship with for the rest of my life that will be one of the closest and best relationships, and I haven't even met him. Oh man. It's not like one of those chance encounters. Like I sat next to him in biology and we became best buds, and me and Ted are next door neighbors 30 years later. It's like, no, I am making the best relationship of my life. And at some point 20 years from now, I'm going to think back on this time and you're like, yeah, you didn't know anything. You thought it was going to be so easy, and you were just a young kid just graduating and whatever. Duh, future me. But I don't know. I really, it doesn't worry me. I'm not like afraid of it, but it's like dogs. I think I saw this in a movie once. Dogs, they can't see color. And so a dog has no idea what a rainbow is. And like you couldn't describe it to them. There's no way to explain a color to someone. And I've heard it from so many people, what it's like to have a kid. And how wonderful it is and how it changes your life, and like there's all these descriptions. But I think it might be someone trying to tell a dog what a rainbow is. And then when you have the kid and you actually are living that, you can finally see in color. And once you can see color, you can't imagine what it would be like to not see it. We take that kind of stuff for granted. You can see all the colors and you can understand exactly what you can understand, because that's just, kind of, you take for granted what you can see that other people can't see. And that's where I'm at. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's a little convoluted, but I just kind of feel like any day now we're going to have our kid and it's going to be like oh, that's what everyone meant by this will totally change your life. Like, I mean, I can remember even when first time I felt him kick, and it changed from idea to person. It was like mind blowing to me. Like, oh my gosh, there's a actual person in there. Like, and then the first time I saw the 3D picture of his face, same kind of thing. It was like, oh, it's not a baby, it's that baby. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. And like, I'm probably going to make fun of this so much when I'm older and be like, you had no idea what you were doing. You had no idea what you're talking about. And yeah, I don't. I have no clue. I have no clue what it's going to be like to raise a kid. Like, I can read so many books. You can go to birthing classes, which we've done. Shout out to my haters. But like, honestly, in a week from now, I'm going to like look at this and think how silly I was. Probably think that too about things I thought were important. Like, there's a Michael Jordan documentary coming out tomorrow. Freak yeah. And I am so excited about that. That is like my dream. I have been, for whatever reason, nerding out about Michael Jordan since I was 14 years old. Hardcore, like the one thing that I have nerded out on hardcore. And, it's like so fun and interesting and stuff like that. Like, I don't even know. That, or, what our callings are, or I don't know. Fill in any example. I wonder how that's going to change when little man is here. And we're going to think like, oh, we cared about that stuff? We had time to do a podcast? Like, I don't know. I wonder what he's going to be like. I watched Onward the other day. My gosh. The entire movie is about someone who their dad dies when they were a little kid, and they go their whole life wanting to know them, and their dad like gives them magical spell so he can come back and visit them because he wants to know what they grew up to be. And oh my gosh, I think about that all the time. What is he going to grow up to be? What's his personality going to be like? Is he going to be like me, a total douche? Like, is he funny? Does he have dark hair? Like, I want to show this to him. I want to just zoom forward. Maybe I'll schedule this video for like 20 years from when he's born, and I won't watch it. I'm probably not going to do this. And then in 20 years, me and him will watch it. And I'll be like, hey, this is what you're like. Like, is he going to be tall? Is he funny? Is he a goofball? It's so weird to be talking about him as if he was just an idea. Like in part of my head, it's like a little bit of it is like he's there's like a guy there that I don't know. Like a complete human that I don't know. And then the other part is like there's an idea there. Like there's an idea of a baby, there's a concept of a baby, of a person, of a toddler, of a grown adult. I'm just excited to meet him. And excited to, like we're going to have other kids. Excited to finally know what that's like. It's not something you can really tell someone. Like me and Maddie talk about all the time. It hits us in little waves and in weird ways. The fact that we're actually having a kid. And there's not really a way to describe it. It's like it'll just hit me one, in like a different angle on it. Like, you're telling me that this person is just like came out of nowhere from me and you. Tell me that this person wouldn't exist if it weren't for us. And this person has got like my genes and your genes, and it's just like created this completely different person. That's not even like a result of us, but something totally independent of us, but that came from us. It's just, I don't know. It's just mind blowing. I don't know. I mean, I've heard other people talk about this kind of stuff, but now that it's actually me, it's so amazing and strange. I don't know. I think a lot of other people kind of have been thinking about this their whole life. So by the time this time period came, they're like, yeah, we all know that already. Like, I've thought about having a family since I was a little kid, and this is what having kids is like. And they've kind of prepared, specifically women, Maddie. They have at least Maddie has like a better grasp on it, I think. But for me, I'm like, what, there's a kid in there? Even like a dude that we're going to be with forever that we haven't even met yet, and he's just been eavesdropping on us this whole time and just getting bigger and just hanging out in there, letting mom just carry him around all day. Lazy. Like, we have all these clothes, and we have a name, and we've got all of our beautiful gifts that we got from the baby shower in a crib, but it's still just like all of these little tiny symbols of a baby, little tiny like writing prompts, like, get you thinking, this is what baby's like. And for whatever reason, like, it's just still, I mean, I can see his little leg moving around, but it still just feels like imagination. I don't know if this even makes any sense. But it's really how I feel. Like, I can't wait until I don't have to imagine him, with his little tiny Nike shoes on. I can, like, actually, and it'll probably wear off. He'll probably like poop on me once and be like, okay, the magic's gone. But right now it's, I don't know. It's weird. And any day now, like that, everything is going to change. What do you do about that? Is he going to like me? What if he comes out and we don't like the name we chose? What if he doesn't look like a J? Spill the beans. We're going to name him J. That's been our thought. What if he doesn't look like a J? What if he doesn't feel like a J? I really hope he has blue eyes. But if he doesn't and he gets my ugly eyes, that's okay. They're the most common color in the world, so you'll fit in. But that would be sweet if he had blue eyes like Maddie. And like, she got kind of a droop, like a cute like side droop a little bit. Especially when she was a baby, she had like these cute bulldog eyes. Oh my gosh. I hope he gets those. I hate to say stuff like that though, because it's kind of awkward, when I meet him. He can probably overhear me right now because Maddie's just in the other room taking a bath. And if he doesn't live up to my eye expectations, there's gonna be hell to pay. I don't know. What am I even saying? wonder how much of a kid's personality is already determined. Maybe there's science in that. I have no idea. I wonder, we feel as parents like we're going to have this big impact on him, and we will. If you're raised a certain way, it obviously affects who you become. But I wonder how much you come with. It's one of the age-old questions, I guess, nature versus nurture, but it does make you think, like he's in there, he's in his mom's belly right now. Like, does he already have ingrained in him, a sense of humor, or at least like a tendency to improve on certain things? Like, is he going to, if put in the right position in his life, be attracted to competitive sports, or to music, or to movies, or whatever? He's gonna be a cool guy, though. I've already thought of some sweet nicknames. Again, I'll have to edit this out if we don't end up naming him Jay. I really like the name, though. It's either that or Pubert. J Baby, Baby J, J Fletch, JJ, J Dog, JJ's Diner. That's it. That's all I got. But honestly, I haven't thought about it that much. He's gonna be a cool guy. He's gonna be tiny AF. That's for damn. Hopefully he has Maddie's hamstrings and not mine, and not my just general tightness. Don't want him to have that. Honestly, I hope he has basically everything of Maddie's except for her arm length, short arms. Check it out off the screen. You don't even know how long. I could take my skin tone, honestly. Don't tell her I said that. And maybe my curls. Yeah, definitely my curls. Aside from that, and my height. Excuse me. Aside from that, it can be like a copy of Maddie. Or it can be like something totally different. Like in my family, we all, for the longest time, we all had browner skin, darker complexion, dark hair, dark eyebrows. Except for my brother Brad, who had blue eyes, whiter skin, much lighter complexion, straight hair. Straight, like, blonde hair. He could come out and be totally out of left field. Speaking of, I haven't thought about what position he's going to play in baseball. Probably center. Start him off easy. What's that one thing? Like every generation, it feels like, and I feel like we're getting better at this actually, but it kind of feels like, each generation has something that they want their kids to be, and they don't even realize that they're forcing them to do it. Like in all the movies from the 80s, it was like, you go and work at a corporate job and you're going to work in the mine when you get older. You're going to be just like your pops. And then the kid's like, I want to be an artist. I don't want to be like you. And then, they have the fight, and it's like true love prevails. And then, as it got time passed, and it was like, no son of mine is gay. And then that was like the fight. And it's like, I can be whatever I want. But now a lot of that stuff is pretty chill. Like, you can be gay. I don't care if he was gay. I don't really care, if he wants to follow my career or if he wants to play sports or whatever. I wonder if there's something that I'm not considering that I have a bias towards that I'm going to force him into. I don't think really anyone, but parents specifically, realize, the things that they have a bias towards. Because, it's like this is water, or what is water, I think is like that speech where the fish, one of the fish says to the other fish, like, how's the water? The other fish is like, what's water? Because it's everywhere all the time. They have no idea. And so to a fish, they're so deep in something that they don't even realize that they're a part of it. And I wonder what that is for me and Maddie. What are our biases, octopi, octopuses? What are our deeply ingrained things that we don't even know we have, that we're going to push on him? Obviously we're going to make tons of mistakes. I'm not worried about that. We're going to make tons of mistakes. But, I've heard, talking to the older folk, that there are, you learn a lot about yourself, your parents, your upbringing when you bring up, when you raise a kid. And I'm that fish in water, and I don't even know, what I can't see, because I'm so deep within my own perception of everything. What am I subconsciously going to push onto my kids? What are we going to be different about? What's that one thing where my kid comes home and says, I want to do this? And I'll be like, hell no. Because right now it doesn't feel like there's that thing, but I know there will be. Or maybe this is a sign that I'm going to be that crappy dad who's just like a bro and like comes in with the jorts on and the backwards hat at their kids' prom and like drinks a kegger with them. And like maybe that's the thing, is like strict parents or whatever are a good thing. Maybe I'll try to be the cool dad too much and be like, hey kids, mom's out of town, let's go get some Airheads and watch Emperor's New Groove till 3 a.m. I don't know. I don't think being a bro is really the best idea. I don't know. Again, everything I say means nothing because I've never had a kid. I have no idea what I'm talking about at all. Keep that in mind. My opinion means nothing. But it seems like being best friends with your kid can kind of backfire sometimes. I don't know. I've seen both. But like, I hear that kids like structure. Like you want to kind of give them consistency. I've heard that a lot. You want to set boundaries, create discipline. Like you're their dad, not their best friend. And I believe that. That's a belief that I have. I mean, me and my dad are really great friends, but I think that was good. At least for me. I can go to him in a way that I couldn't go to a friend. And I mean that in a positive way. And also, maybe none of that matters. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is there's going to be a guy this big in very short amount of time, and I cannot wait to meet him. I am so excited. I know it's going to be just like a ton of bricks to the face in like how our life is going to change and everything. And, I know that I'm going to look back on this time and be like, oh man, I could sleep so well, or like I could go to movies whenever I wanted, or, whatever, those like little things. Actually, that's not true. Quarantine. But right now, like I am enjoying this. Like me and Matt are excited. We're not waiting to be happy. Like, we're happy right now. We love this. We love the build up. We love just our last kind of time to cherish, just like me and her and everything. But man, when he gets here, it's gonna just be so awesome. And also probably totally suck. I'm thinking we should get him one of those jumper things. My nephew had one of those where they put him in the doorway and you're like, they bounce. Man, I had never been baby hungry in my whole life, ever. I've never really been that guy. I think because I just grew up with so many babies all the time. Um, Even when we got married, like it was never something I even really thought about. Like, obviously at some point, like, yeah, well, we'll have a baby, move our life in that direction. But man, with him like weeks away, I see babies everywhere and they're like the cutest, just like most beautiful thing. They make me happy. Hear him laugh. My nephew, he calls me every time he poops. He'll FaceTime me sometimes on the toilet. I pooped. I'm like, I love that. I love that about you, man. Thanks for calling. Go get your Skittles. Like, I've never really been that guy, and I am that guy right now. Like, I follow Lauren Beeston and look and Jaleesa Cuddlepool from high school. And I can think of a ton of people with cute babies, but for some reason, I think I saw those today, and I just like see their babies. And I'm like, oh, this is what Maddie has been telling me for 5 years. Like, you see a baby, you're like, oh, I want to hug that baby. Like, I'm feeling that right now. It's nice. Lauren does have a cute baby, though. So, anyways, Jay, this is your dad. Judging by my calculations, you probably won't be able to actually understand this for if you're going to be born in 2 weeks. Babies, I think it's roughly like a month or two. Then you just throw them right into learning and grammar. So that puts us end of the summer. Let's say August. We'll give you some buffer. This is a message to you when you can speak English. What's up? It's your dad. You seem like a cool guy. I don't know you that well. You kicked me in the ear the other day. You're making your mom kind of waddle a little bit. She loves it, but also, she doesn't sleep super well. That's okay. I'm not blaming you for that. We're pumped to meet you. I know you're going to be so cute. I've seen your face, black and white, ultrasound. Got a gnarly kick. You're a cute little guy. I appreciate you. What else do you need to know in your first 6 months? There is a global pandemic, yes. I do have a podcast. You don't know what that is, and it doesn't matter. You don't need to know. It's not that big a deal. And we love you. We can't wait for you to get here.